In this video, we will discuss how to solve a market entry case asked in BCG. The question is, our client Agrochem is a North American agricultural chemicals producer, and they have developed a new patented chemical called Mango Maker that, when applied to mango trees, allows them to produce fruits off season. So the company is considering commercializing this product specifically in India, and how would you evaluate this opportunity? By the way, this is a free video, and you can find the link for the entire course on how to crack any consulting interview in the description below. This is a long prompt, and we are going to quickly reiterate to make sure all the important details have been captured. The next step is to ask the clarifying questions. Please pause the video for 1 minute and think of all the clarifications that you want to get. So I would like to start with knowing more about the client and what part of the value chain do they own, what is their goal like. The interviewer tells us that our client is a large diversified agricultural chemical company, and their primary goal is to maximize profitability by entering the massive Indian mango market. And also they own the entire value chain from R&D to distribution. So I would also like to understand what exactly is this product Mango Maker? Is it more of a fertilizer, pesticide, or a growth regulator? How does it work? And is there a specific value proposition? The interviewer tells us that it's a liquid that's sprayed on the trees, and this increases the yield by 20% in off season. So this also enables the farmers to sell mangoes at a premium price, and it comes without any side effects. The next question that comes to my mind is to understand why the client is looking at the India market. As we know, India is one of the largest producers for mango, so that's why the client is keen on the India market. And one follow up question that I have here is, there are different varieties of mango that are grown in India. So, do all varieties respond to the chemical? It works on almost 80% of the varieties, and further research is needed to determine the efficacy across all variants. I would also like to understand who are our target customers. The client is directly targeting the farmers. Also, other things like, is there a planned price point that our client has in mind? So, the interviewer tells us that it's close to 1,000 rupees per liter. And finally, just to know, like, what is the competitive landscape? For example, are there other existing players providing similar chemicals? So the interviewer tells us that we have one competition which provides similar off-season chemicals. We'll quickly summarize all the information that we've gotten from the interviewer. So our client wants to maximize profitability by entering the massive Indian mango market through their new product Mango Maker, which is a liquid plant based growth regulator. The benefit is it is enabling off season mango production. So, what we need to evaluate is whether this opportunity is viable and how our client should approach market entry. The way I'm going to think about market entry is, first we'll start with finding out should we enter or not, which is to understand that if the market is attractive enough for our client or not, where we'll do a quick market sizing and also see what is the profit potential and the ROI for our client. And if we see that the market is attractive enough, then as a next step, we are going to look at can we enter, where we are going to look at the external conditions and also our internal capabilities to make sure that we can successfully enter the market. And if the answer is yes again, then finally we are going to discuss on the ways in which we can enter the market. I'm going to start first with the market sizing here, right? Like, what do we need to estimate? So we'll estimate what is the market size for Mango Maker. And now, how should we go about it? When we want to determine the market size, there are different factors that I'm thinking of. First of all, we'll have to know, okay, how much is the total mango cultivation area that exists, right? And then we will look at mangoes for which this product is suitable. We'll also have to look at the adoption rate or the market share that we can get. For example, how many farmers are going to actually use our product, and then we can see how much does the product need to be applied or used. As we can see, there are a lot of unknowns, but the way in which we can determine the market size here will be just a multiplication of all these different factors. We'll have to determine each of them one by one. So I'll start with the first one, which is to find the total mango cultivation area in India. The way I'm looking at this is, first of all, I'll find out what is India's land area, then look at how much is it for agriculture, and then further how much goes for fruit cultivation, and finally what is the proportion for mango cultivation. So I'm going to quickly plug in the numbers here. See, India's total land area is 330 million hectares, and agriculture is a significant portion. So I'm going to assume that 50% of it, which comes out to be close to 165 million hectares, and let's say fruit cultivation happens in 20% of the agriculture land, right? Because mostly it's other crops, but we can always get a buy-in from the interviewer on all these numbers. So, assuming 20%, it comes out to be 33 million hectares. And finally, mango being the king of fruits, I'm taking one third of the area. So, that comes out to be 11 million hectares. And as I'm again calling out, these are just some assumptions, and we should definitely get a buy in from the interviewer at each stage. This gives us our first term. Now, the second that we've clarified was that Mango Maker is compatible with close to 80% of the mango varieties that are there, right? The next step is how many farmers will adopt it. We'll just ask the interviewer for the figure, but let's say if we are doing this in a real life consulting, then we can estimate, like, for example, how much was the adoption rate for our competition, or if there were other plant growth chemicals that were introduced, how much was the adoption in the first year. And then the next step is to also determine what will be the application rate. The interviewer tells us that the farmers need to apply 1 liter per hectare, and they just need to apply it once every year. That comes out to be 1 liter per hectare per year. Based on all this information, our market size comes out to be 1.76 million liter per year. You can quickly pause the video to just look at the calculations. Now, the next step is to determine what is the profit potential for our client, right? Because how do we know if the market size is good enough or not? I look at the market size and then I'm also going to determine how much is the profit, which will be the price minus the variable cost, and overall we'll have to also remove any fixed cost like R&D which went into this particular product. We'll ask the interviewer if we know what is the fixed and the variable cost. The market size is 1.76 million liter, and in the start we had clarified that the price is close to rupees 1000 per liter. So the interviewer tells us that the fixed cost, which is mostly the R&D cost, is close to 10 crore, and the variable cost per liter is close to rupees 200. We'll do a quick calculation and our profit potential comes out to be close to 130 crores per year. Please pause the video again and just do the calculations yourself to get a better understanding. I'll also quickly determine the return on investment, which comes out to be close to 13x. See, in this situation, it can also happen that the interviewer might ask you to determine the pricing. And the way in which we can do this is either we can go ahead with a cost based pricing, which is by determining how much was the cost incurred by the client, or let's say how the competitor has priced the product, or also based on what is the value that the farmers will get out of this. You can watch our video on how to solve a pricing case to learn more about this. If you've liked my explanation till now, please subscribe to our channel Techno Managers. Now that we know that the profit potential and the ROI is high, the next step is to look at the external assessment. See, I'm doing this in a very detailed manner, but in general, the interviewer might or might not ask you to do this in so much detail. So, first things first, we know that for any foreign company to enter the India market, they should be able to clear all the regulatory hurdles. The client should focus on making sure that they are aligning with the government policy, because that's very important. If there are any shifts in policy, they will also be able to get over any red tape or bureaucratic hurdles that can come in. The second thing is that farmers should also be able to adopt the product, right? And the challenges can be in terms of, let's say, any economic challenges, like the farmers don't have the purchasing powers, or they don't have the technical knowledge, or they are skeptic about any new foreign agriculture products, right? That's where our client needs to very actively set up, let's say, demonstrations in the key mango regions, and they also need to get the buy-in from the farmers to try out the products and share their honest feedback. They can also start giving out some small samples or organize hands-on training. And to make it financially viable, they can offer some flexible payment options like, let's say, a seasonal credit or a pay later kind of model. The goal is to let the farmers see the benefits before they invest in it. And while we've clarified in the beginning that there are no known side effects, but the client should also proactively showcase this by conducting frequent environmental impact assessment, right? So that they are able to build long term trust. The interviewer tells us that the external analysis is very comprehensively covered here. The next step is to also do an internal analysis. So, the way we will look at this is we can see if there are any constraints financially or operationally. The interviewer tells us that our client has deep pockets, so no financial constraints as such. And even talking about the other one, which is operational, there are no such constraints. So here we're not doing a deep dive, but again, it depends. The interviewer might ask us to do a deep dive on the internal factors rather than the external factors. And accordingly, we should adjust our approach. Okay, so we know that the market is attractive and the client has capabilities to enter. Final step is how to enter. See, let's keep it simple. There are two things that we need to focus on, right? First is to make sure that the product is working and there is organic adoption. And then second is to make sure that it reaches every corner wherever it's needed, right? So on the organic side, what's really important is we need to build trust. This also means running a lot of demo trials in the major mango producing states in India, like let's say UP, Bihar, or Karnataka. And we can also do like some sample distributions for free so that we are able to show real results. And we can also have farmer training programs so that we can get in a buy-in from the farmers and they become our local champions for the product. On the inorganic side, it's going to be all about the partnerships that we are able to strike, right? See, if you think logically, who are going to be our different stakeholders here? One will definitely be farmers, the second will be the government institutions, and the third will be any known agri companies in India. So, what this means is we should be able to partner with each of these, right? First of all, partner with the leading farmer cooperatives, strike a joint venture with the top Indian agricultural companies or any institutes, and also partner with the government subsidy programs if that works out. I'm just using first principle thinking to bring out all the partners who could be there. And if you think there are other partnerships that our client could have thought of, then please comment below. Time for our final recommendation. As we noticed, Mango Maker is definitely a high ROI opportunity in India for our client. The numbers look great, but as we can see, there are a few external challenges. But the good news is that we can tackle all of them if we take some proactive planning and if we are able to strike the right partnerships. So the conclusion is the client should enter the Indian market. What should our client do next, right? In short term, what they should definitely do is move fast to get all the regulatory approvals in India and then to work very closely with the government to get mango makers in any support scheme so that the adoption is quicker for the farmers. And in the long term, our client should definitely keep on investing in R&D so that they can tailor mango makers to more varieties and also find out new chemicals for other products as India's agricultural market is really huge. And then they should also be able to scale their distribution network so that they are able to reach the farmers both through online and offline channels. We are at the end of the case. You can follow me on LinkedIn as I keep posting a lot of articles about consulting and business strategy. I hope you've learned something new in this video. I will meet you in the next one. Till then, keep learning and keep watching.